Don't you love how much the stuff in the Great Cosmic Mother, they're talking about like death and sleeping and we're like,
just go to the dirt.
Just go to the dirt.
Go
Don't
to
worry
the
about
dirt.
it.
You'll come right back. Go to the dirt.
You'll be back in 2 shakes.
You're already in the fetal position. You just gotta wiggle yourself down.
That's right. It's not bad. Greetings, dear listener, and welcome to Biting All the Apples. And you're about to ear witness a freestyle episode.
Freestyle.
Freestyle.
We're freestyling.
We record these a couple weeks in advance, and we are almost smack dab in the middle of, we're almost to the Ides of March.
Ooh.
And I almost think I shouldn't mention dates because I'll be like, and you're hearing us from the beyond because we all died in a nuclear
I know.
Stop it.
But yes, mention dates because like someone will find us.
Someone will find us.
And they'll be like,
And
brushing off the dust.
Yeah, so I'm like, as you can tell by my stuttering, we're just doing this in full existential crisis mode.
True.
It's not even existential crisis anymore. It's full crisis.
Yeah, in your face crisis.
Right in your face.
And
we really think the best way to collect ourselves, because I don't even know if we'll have a music break. If so, put it right here. I'm Sarah Kay.
I'm Joanna V.
And we're here to not lose our minds by biting
all the apples.
Meaning we are getting all the fruits of knowledge, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, fun knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go travel and learn more knowledge.
That's right.
Knowledge that leads you on the path to multiple knowledges.
And then maybe spark some ideas for the new world.
We're basically pioneers for your mind.
Yes.
At least for my mind.
Who said artists don't thrive in chaos?
Oh my
Listen
God.
to this girl over here. So we're getting back into our book of the moment.
Ooh, I like
a little
that.
reminder, season 2 is about, we're kind of only doing a couple episodes on each book. We got a big old book right now.
Oh
though.
my gosh.
It's what do they call it, a tome? She's a big one. So it's a giant book. And, you know, we're all kind of losing it or whatever.
There's a
And
lot going on.
as I'm saying losing it, we are totally safe right now.
Yes.
So just, I'm not trying to be like, this is
From Bob's basement.
Exactly. Yeah, we're okay. But just, you know, the levels of institutional betrayal combined with, like I said, I'm having just a justice sensitivity flare up. That'll happen.
Well, you know,
It's causing inflammation in my entire body.
yeah. Seems to focus itself within like the
guts.
heart, gut region. Where
All the
you just,
chakras. These chakras.
Oh, yeah. Where you're
From
just,
the throat to
your
the
chakras
tote.
are on. I don't know. I love my little toe.
This is my little tote bag. You know what I'm saying, ladies?
my chakras are resonating, but not in like a good way. More of like in
They're flaring.
we're kind of sick.
I'm flared up. I'm having a flare up, and we hope that you too are
If you're
safe.
flaring up.
And if you're having a flare up, this could be an episode for you. We're at Great Cosmic Mother. We talked about the intro last episode. Joanna gave great background info on
I
the
loved it.
authors, and we're getting into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
We're getting into the fleshy mother part of all of it today. We're going to
And-
talk about sections 2 and 3.
The artifacts.
The artifacts. There's so much stuff. We're not even going to tell you. We're like, we'll never get to everything that's in here.
No.
But our goal is to expose some of the norm challenging information, because that's what season 2 is all about. Just to be like, hey, we've all been told this thing. Have you ever thought about it this way? And we're not telling you this is 100% the right way, but I'm going to tell you, pretty darn interesting.
Oh my, I bet it'll just make your synapses.
Yes. And
Like,
that's,
and maybe you'll go get the book because you'll be like, actually, I need to take a look-see.
yeah, take a look-see. Get this book. It's everywhere. And we've mentioned that there are a couple great gals, couple great peoples that have read this book. So we'll put those links in the show notes. So sometimes it is easier. Like, think about it, especially like nowadays. I mean, maybe it is comforting to sit down and read a 400-page book, or maybe you can't sit still. So listening, highly recommend.
Highly.
I'm doing both.
I love it. I love listening.
So to ground us. I was telling Joanna that sometimes if I'm in a place, like I arrive someplace like a half hour early, and I was like, I'm going to just write some haiku.
Oh, yes.
So we're going to start off to get grounded for this episode because we were having a little bit of like, can you believe this happened, this fucked, this trip.
Yeah.
And I was like, we need to haiku.
Yeah, because we were not going to good places.
Yeah, we're not going to good places. We want to go to the haiku place. And everybody loves poetry.
I'm laughing. They should if they don't.
You should. This is going to hit you right in your inflamed chakras. And these are like haikus. So Joanna and I are going to read each other the haikus. We have not heard them.
And actually, I felt a million times better after I wrote it. And we weren't allowed to share. So this is fun.
When you hear ours, you're going to be like, there's no way they wrote those just 5 minutes ago.
But please know that we did.
By the way, we just each have two, so don't turn off the podcast.
Yeah. Especially if you're not a poetry fan.
Yeah.
And if you're really not a poetry fan, haiku, 5-syllable, 7-syllable, 5-syllable.
Yeah.
Haiku 1. Spiraling with thought. What could be if we connect? Return to the womb.
You know what? Yes, that is so cosmic mothery. And I love that we both wait till you hear.
I can't wait.
Wasn't that awesome? I was like, that was really good. Wait to hear mine. What? What's wrong with me? I'm in a more
That was
like,
good, but wait.
Yeah,
Here's a better one.
that was a good. We're like, these poems are read in order of quality.
It's true. It's true.
Kidding. No, that was great.
The second one was much harder.
I was just excited because we both were like, okay.
Oh, really?
Don't fear spiraling. We are destined to be big. The spiral is home.
Oh, snap.
Oh, did that just get you?
Oh, cosmic mother.
Yeah.
Oh, great cosmic mother.
Yes, girl, yeah.
Oh, you got me in my spiral serpent.
You got me in
My internal spiral serpent.
You got me in my soul dragon.
My soul dragon.
Yes, I know.
I kind of love that. Women are sacred, not by choice, but by design. Creators of life.
That's it. That's our platform. Great. Cosmic Mother.
Mama, I'm coming home.
Our last haiku. I'm doing my Mike Myers story, Married to Axe Murderer. Whoa, man. Whoa, man. Whoa, man.
All in black.
Okay. Birth, death, rebirth, go. Beware man's endless straight line. Hold close what you know.
Oh my God, that's really good.
Do you like that one?
That's my favorite. Oh my gosh, we gotta send it to a magazine.
If there are any magazines left, we'd send it to you.
Poetry magazine. Where is it? Highlights for adults. That was my.
Oh, that could totally go into highlights for adults. Thank you. Thank you.
That was really good.
The reason that we picked this book is because it challenges the idea of linearity. Is that a word?
Yeah.
That's what is challenging. This idea that we're supposed to be like, everything in the past was just like primitive, crazy BS. And it's very patriarchal to be like a straight line there. And now we're even seeing this today. Like I said, Rubio and Miller, and I think Kegg's brother, who I don't even know. But, everybody's referencing, like, we come from great civilization. And I'm like, we do, but I think you need to go further back.
Yeah. I believe you stopped at terrible people.
Right. And they want us to see the past as, like, super primitive. They don't want us to know that all the time, like, civilizations rise and then fall back in, and it doesn't always go in a straight line.
No.
And that's what the Great Cosmic Mother shows us, that there were great civilizations before that had really advanced technology for the time, for different. They had things.
Yeah, they had.
Okay, they had things.
They were doing fine. They were doing fine. They were working together, and it wasn't so primitive.
Right. it's not so primitive.
And things would have continued being good except for people, power-hungry people.
Power-hungry, the conqueror era.
Somehow they got charged. I just want to know who the first guy was like, yeah, I think we need a ruler. Who was that person?
Probably the guy who was the ruler.
Oh, yeah.
Just somebody who's like, I need to just take charge of this. This is a big old book, so it's not like we're going to go over exactly chapter by chapter. We're going to talk about a few points that really hit home. Section 2, women's early religion, and then Section 3, women's culture and religion in Neolithic times. And remember the intro that we talked about last week says it's kind of like, and what do we do about it? So we don't know. Maybe the last section in the book talks about what you're asking.
Yeah.
Like, when did it begin?
Change? And actually, it's kind of an emotional read.
It really is. Yeah.
It
Especially
is.
nowadays.
And it makes you realize, like, oh, this probably did affect me quite a bit as a woman. And it's been affecting women for... While I'm reading, I'm like, I should probably just, like, find a time.
I need a visual one. I'm sure there's one. That's what we should get. We'll be like, this is where they were.
Caveman, crow man.
Caveman, crow man.
And then we're...
Dragons. Westeros. So, yeah, work with us.
It just seemed nicer way back when.
And if we haven't given the disclaimer in a while, mind you, we are educated, we're thinkers, we're readers. There's a lot of stuff we don't know. Well, I don't want to speak for Joanna.
No, I don't know a lot of things.
But what we would really love, if there's anything that you're like, come on, ladies, it's this and that, like, just reach out and let us know.
Yeah, I found it interesting in the book, in this women's early religion, that they were like, women didn't really know how they got pregnant in the beginning.
Right.
I don't know how historians know that, but... I mean, it has to do with the artifacts and stuff, but it was very, like, miracle, which, by the way...
Kind of is.
It is.
Yeah.
It literally is.
Yeah. And I use the term miracle not attached to bearded man in the sky.
Yeah. And, I've always felt, like, as soon as I learned that the earth is 70% water and that I was 70% water, and by the way, I think I was pretty old when that, like, settled in, where I was like... I mean, I'm sure I heard that, at least, I hope. But when I was, like, in my mid-20s, and I was like, I got very involved in the environment, and I was very upset that we were ruining the planet, and the rainforest really blew my mind. But that 70%, like, that I have always felt rooted, like, that's so weird that we're the same, like, the planet and myself, like, And this book goes further...
Because in the simplest terms, like what you just said, that you're like, it just makes sense. Like, our whole Constitution is exactly like every other living thing, but that has been smashed out of us. And so reading about these religions where it was like, that was the core, where they're like, we are of this earth. There's like no separation.
Yeah.
I mean, so much so, and we can just skip around. If the men would go hunting and if they killed an adult animal, the women would
bring the babies
back and
breastfeed them.
Sure.
It's nice if you found, like, a baby oxen, and
isn't
that ox is going to grow up, or you're going to let it die.
And, like, today, like, thinking about that, we're like, that is fucking wild. But if you were back then being like, well, yeah, it's a living thing. And just like I'm a living thing, I got a thing.
Makes sense. Now we'd institutionalize someone.
Right.
I actually remember a story about this. A lady had a squirrel that she was breastfeeding. And I'm not kidding. I bet you can look it up. I'm not even kidding. Not even kidding. I believe, like, it was like a funny, but it was like, oh, look at that crazy. And now I'm like, well, actually, quite nice of her.
Right, quite nice of her. She can do whatever she wants.
That's right.
I wouldn't, here's the thing. Of all the things to, like, if we were like, let's get a little more back to this, I wouldn't start with the animal wet nursing, but what do I know?
But it was just to tell
also
the beginning.
Squirrel.
It was really telling. Now, that lady, I believe, it was like a video, and she was probably on some, man-made drugs.
Right.
But they did it to domesticate the animals. That was the beginning of domestication. And it was like way back, like we're living in caves. So,
right.
Like, it's not like you had a ton of neighbors and, you got a baby deer, and you can eat that deer later, or you're going to keep it alive, right?
Right.
You're going to suckle it.
You're going to suckle. Look, again.
Anyways,
okay, we're children. I'm a child. Anyways,
also,
we are childlike. It says in here that that's fine. I'm returning to the earth. There is, oh my gosh, there's
so much.
There's so much good stuff. I know we say that all the time. We're talking about why it is so upsetting to read this, because it actually does feel like something was taken from
it was.
me. It's not like I'm saying we all need to just go live outside and make a home from like tree branches. That's not what I'm saying.
No, but it would be nice to be recognized for the wonders that we do hold within us, instead of, being trying to be controlled. This is how far back they go in this book. 35,000, 10,000 BC. And they were finding Venus statues and stuff. But I thought this was nice, is that though named after Venus, the Roman goddess of love, they were no longer seen by archaeologists as Cro-Magnon sexual objects. They are magic images of the mysterious power of the female to create life out of herself and to sustain it, which is magical. And as we know from reading the Woman's Bible, the Bible taught that it was disgusting.
It was disgusting. So what's clicking for me there is that is why they had to, suppress this, because, and remember, even our disclaimer for reading the Women's Bible, anybody that is under the illusion of certainty, and that is exactly what they don't like, mystical, unknown stuff. And obviously it's very, like, women were very powerful, and they don't have it's unknown. It's not uncertain. So they're like, we need to change this into a certain world, which certainty is like, that's not even like a thing.
It's not a thing.
But it's their idea of it.
On a rock, floating in space.
I found this interesting because she talks about, so Western history does not show us any evolution toward greater spirit, greater meaning, or greater culture. Think about that. We all, in history, it's about conquering and technology, right? The Western Roman Christian contribution to the world, when we look at it, has been almost entirely in the area of technology, of analytical intellect, combined with a notorious spiritual and cultural alienation, and perhaps the loneliest individuals the planet has ever seen. Mind you, this was written in the 80s.
Oh my God, we're so much more lonely.
So much worse. What there still is of spirit, of poetry, of coherent meaning, of symbolic truth in the world did not come from us. It was there at the beginning among our Stone Age ancestors. And just from some other stuff that I've read and know is this is also why Christianity works so well. They're telling us that all this spiritual stuff and these people of the earth, they're like, yeah, that was when that happened. No, remember, it's all linear. So they're no, that happened. That's when that happened. And so we got it all set and we found out that it was Jesus. And now we're just going to move forward, being like, we don't need to think about spirituality because we already got it. It was back there. It was back in this remember time. That? Yeah. So what else? What other fun things? Even
a lot of talk about how we were more open to sexuality. A lot of, that there was no thought about, there was a lot of bisexuality, and even the thought that because back in the cave days, they don't believe that the humans knew that the baby came from sex.
Right.
They just thought, oh my, and the women wouldn't know they were pregnant until there were no ultrasounds, okay?
Right. Until
so they would just know, and they would think, oh, well, the breath of life has come from the wind or the water or wherever. Right. And they're like, oh, the miracle is happening. Mm-hmm. So a lot of it is about birth because, wow, what a miracle. And a lot of the drawings in the super old drawings show the baby still connected by the umbilical cord. The men were probably like, whoa, that's the thing.
That's why
I'm going to paint that picture.
I know. That's why if you think back in the day, that's why seeing all these pictures of just straight up and big ladies, which I want to get to too, giving birth, people must have been like, these ladies are where it's at.
Yeah,
this is where they're all this is where we're all coming from.
Yeah.
And then seeing the umbilical cord, that's amazing.
Yeah, really connected.
We do not jam out on that enough. Mm-mm. Now it's all they're in tiny little closed rooms. Not that, I mean, I don't want to give birth in front of a bunch of people, but I'm just saying.
I mean, the celebration and the awe, I guess,
Yes.
is like, this is life. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they were very tied to the earth, right? So even in death, they would bury people in the thought that they would become again.
Because
they would come again.
That's the other big takeaway from there. It's mentioned in a couple chapters, that relationship where they believed that that's kind of all the same thing. Mm-hmm. Like the birth and death are kind of the same thing. And did you read the part where they talk about they found in a lot of ancient burial sites, people were buried in the fetal position?
Yes. Yeah, just like you were in the womb.
They're like, yeah, so just go back. They're like, you came out of that lady's womb, so go back to this womb.
And then
it's just so...
And they would cover them with stones, with breasts, just,
cover them with boobies in case... Yeah, I mean, do it.
In case you get hungry.
I mean, my gosh, it makes... The thing is, I'm like, this
sense.
makes so much sense.
Right? Like, if you were just, like, figuring things out.
And then also, if you were to ask me, like, where do you go when you die? I'm like, well, where were you before you got here?
Ashes to ashes,
like,
dust to dust.
Do you know where you were before you got here? It's cool. Probably. Yeah. You're just, like, someplace cool.
Someplace else. Part of the...
Just go on back, girl.
I mean,
so
everything does, like, everything, like trees, right? They die. You don't want to pick them up because they go down and they create nutrients and they become something new.
They become something
everything
new. And they
becomes
feed other...
new.
Yeah. I think it was just yesterday. I'm like, my quick summary of what I've read is that women were big and bisexual and powerful.
And powerful.
And the other thing that is mentioned, and it's important to talk about that, like I don't know why I keep on being like...
They were that big.
They were this
big.
The
women were like
400
linebackers.
pounds. No, but no, they do talk about that. And it makes you think that it's no coincidence that coinciding on this linear progression, that we've been on with the patriarchal society is that convincing women to be small and tiny and weak.
Quiet.
Because, and quiet. And I don't know, like, I'm sure even men today don't understand that doesn't come from, like, manly caveman stuff. It comes because you feared their power.
Yeah. And we were
because
kind of
you're naturally bigger.
We were pontificating how that happened. Like, did they starve them? Like, these are things we're going to explore further. Like,
I know.
How did the shrinking of the woman?
Well, I think
essentially,
looking back on those times, women, I don't know if there was that big of a size difference in between men and women, because archaeologists have been wrong when they've found graves with weapons and assuming that those bones were from men because of the size. And now they know that a lot of those were women, because they assumed because of the size and them being buried with weapons. But now we know that women were hunters and warriors. Yeah. And
equals. And actually,
they might have been about the same time.
Yeah.
Size,
They were seen as powerful. Yeah. And I mean, they said for 200,000 years, women were seen, God was seen as a woman. And then, like, eek.
I know.
Men took
It hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
It's not going well.
It is not going well.
Right. I had there's a chapter about the first settled villages. I have a couple things to read, just in case there's any curiosity here. Some of the oldest known settlements and the oldest known grain sickle have been found in the area of Palestine.
Yeah. Turkey
truly seems like the seat of civilization.
Yeah.
Totally has been blown to fuck.
Yeah. The world is just freaking.
And then the other thing, and again, this is written in the 80s, so there might be some updates. But in here she writes, Eric Fromm, in The Anatomy of Human Destructiveness, also, we should check that book out.
That sounds good.
Speculates on the meaning of this culture. And right before then, she was talking about planting and harvesting and storage methods and healing. So, we're talking about these cultures where you're like, well, all they did was just like heal and grow food. We're like, that isn't. Yeah. Is that a real thing?
Have babies.
Yeah. So he says, speculates on the meaning of this culture. The fact that among hundreds of skeletons covering at least 800 years of continuous culture, not one shows signs of violent death. The fact that women seem to outnumber men and are buried with greater honor, the fact that the religion of Katal Huyuk, administered by priestesses, stressed the renewing and protecting powers of the Great Mother.
That's
But
beautiful.
not one had violent death. So just having evidence. Because
Yeah.
anytime I try to talk to modern folks about, not that I'm like, we just all need to go in a commune, but anything. You try to
I would live
mention
on one
anything.
with you.
Like you try to mention anything, even something as like, I shouldn't say lame, but as like soft as like democratic socialism,
Oh, yeah.
which is like
It'll never work.
bare minimum of like just trying to right this
So you just want to pay for
imbalance.
people.
Yeah.
You want to pay for the lazy people? Is that what you want to do?
As if we didn't just pay $300 million for lard ass to go golfing.
Yeah.
That's why everyone can just shut the fuck up about like
Jesus
money and stuff. I saw somebody talking about Jasmine Crockett has $3 million. I'm like, literally, Christy Nome gave her friends like a $200 million contract.
Yeah, like go fuck
people's
yourself.
concept of numbers. Where I'm just, anyways, tangent. But so
How
if you
about the
mention-
yin and yang?
But if you mention anything about like these cultures that are really based more in like how can we have everybody thrive, you always hear someone say like, yeah, well, somebody will come and try to like take it away or whatever. My answers to that are like, one, I'd be like, you mean like right now, today, that happens all the fucking time.
Yeah. Like, yes.
And two, I'm just like, your brain's still, you're like in imperialist mode, dude.
Yeah. Like but they're
And sure, I mean, obviously, there's bad eggs all the time everywhere, but like, wouldn't you rather be in a culture that is like the goal is for everybody to thrive, and then so together you could figure out what to do about the bad guy
yeah.
instead of just being like, well, somebody tried to take away. I prefer just elect a pedophile grifter to take care of things. Okay, genius.
He's gonna pay for things. It's gonna be great. Yeah.
I'm like, which is why we're doing stuff like this, and we encourage everybody to just read different ways. Where I'm like,
Yeah, because
because the conversations, people have been saying the same shit about it is my thing.
yeah.
Even like
for,
30 years ago, they're like, well, people will be lazy.
Okay.
Okay, then we'll just keep doing this.
Well, yeah, because this is not working. But seeing the history of where we were and how we looked to the skies more, it was just the whole relation to here we are in the earth. We need to respect this. We need to respect, and that they even thought of the earth as a woman, right? And that not enough people.
Or we don't know if it's a woman, but like a womb or a life giver or.
Well, certain cultures would have it as a woman, but as a human, the earth was a human, just like so we were like the same thing. And we need to go back to that, not go back.
Right.
Like, I don't want to be Cro-Magnon,
Right.
but I want that respect back. I want that reverence
Well, the reverence for the
for
earth.
the animals, for the earth, for each other,
Yes. The big thing when we were talking about how just incredible it must have been, see like women give birth. The main point is, again, like men were totally a huge part of this, but they watched that and they're like, oh, those ones with the boobs give birth to us, so we should listen to them.
Yeah. Yeah,
Not like
ooh.
listen to them only, but like if they said stuff, you'd be like, well, they probably know what they're talking about since that's where we like come from, which is super simplified, but it also is that simple. And it's nuts how that is gone today.
Women
100% gone. How long have women been talking about like, hey, we need childcare?
Yeah.
Like we literally
So crazy.
don't listen to, we literally don't listen to women today that say they need we literally don't listen to that. And people are like, I'm not paying for people's kids. And just from reading this stuff and being like, how?
Yeah. Well, how did we get so off track? Like, I mean, really, there couldn't have been a lot of people that were like, we got to control things. There's not a lot. Because look at now, it's not a lot of people. It's just like this tiny, like, what is the flaw in the DNA of humans that we were like, yeah, we probably should follow that guy. Like,
probably because we probably went through periods where agriculture was like scarce. One wealthy person had it, and they were like, Well,
I'm going to make some shit up.
Yeah.
And you're going to listen to me.
yeah. Again, I know there's a historian
Have a
out there
piece of
listening.
bread.
They're like, actually, this, but I'm like, yeah, please reach out. Anyways.
Yeah, reach out. We're making stuff up, but reading this, honestly, the way that it affects me when I'm reading it is like, I didn't grow up valuing what a miracle we are providing. Like, you know what I mean?
No, girls are raised to literally cover their body and like shamed if they even accidentally, you're like 11 years old, they're like, you can't wear a tank top. And you're like, I'm just trying to like live.
Yeah.
I didn't even.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, your own body
You're shamed.
is shamed. And that's the first mode. And this is why they say like your mother's your first oppressor, which is true. But like that's your first mode
Shame.
of being like, yeah, and also that's not for you. That's like, you don't need to wear a shirt for your comfort. It's for other people's comfort.
And even like the breastfeeding thing that went on for a long time, like you had to hide breastfeeding.
Bonkers.
Yeah, like legit. Luckily that.
If I would have read this book and I was like breastfeeding, I'd be like, well, did you know? Women, you're like, you're lucky I didn't bring in 9 kittens as well.
You're right. Because I can breastfeed anything. Anything.
Let me orient people real quick. So we're, again, moving through what chapter or section you're going to be reading from?
This is the mother of wild animals in dance, which it does talk a lot about like chimpanzees dance, and they dance for different reasons, and like how transformative dance is. They said, commenting on the almost total blindness of male historians. So this is the quote that William Irwin Thompson wrote. I don't know who he is. It doesn't explain it, but I thought it was great. Because we have separated humanity from nature, subject from object, values from analysis, knowledge from myth, and universities from the universe, it is enormously difficult for anyone but a poet or a mystic to understand what is going on in the holistic and mythiopic thought of the Ice Age of humanity. The very language we use to discuss the past speaks of tools, hunters, and men, when every statue and painting we discover cries out to us that this Ice Age humanity was a culture of art, the love of animals, and women.
Shows you, that's where like we're talking about maybe like anger, where you're like, I'm like, it has been like erased
Ice
from
Age,
us.
motherfuckers.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Why would we lost all the good things, and now we're left with all the corrupt and like, what did we used to say? Certainty.
Yeah.
The false certainty. That's what we're stuck with. Mm-hmm. I refuse it.
I reject.
I bit this apple of the cosmic mother.
I know.
And I'm going back to dancing and just hanging out with animals. Yeah. That's it.
I had this thing to read about science. This covers, it's almost like 20 chapters we're talking about. A lot of them are really short, and they're just gorgeous and so cool. And they talk about the different goddesses and like the looking at the moon as part of this 3-part, the 3 stages of the moon, where it's like waxing and full and then waning and how that relates to birth,
with
death,
your menses.
Your menses, and then how it also coincides with that idea of birth, life, rebirth, or birth, death, rebirth. Like
how about that?
All 3. 3 is always the number. 3 or 9, y'all. 3 or 9.
What is up with that? But
that's what's up with that. That's what's up with that right here. I'm just kidding.
So the way that we were connected, and they talk about the menses a lot, and how, like, first of all, men were like, whoa, you can just bleed and you're not dying. That's great, right? But when the Jesus, and they do call it they're like the fictional Jesus, but they used a better word. They used a fancy word. The apocryphal Jesus says, the whole on high hath part in our dancing, who dantheth not knoweth what cometh to pass. So if you're dancing, you don't know the truth, right? But their Jesus, the cut, they were saying, like his wounds bleeding like a woman. Right?
Yep.
So they were like, oh, well, let's make this guy, but let's add some of that mystical stuff that women do,
Yep.
Where they bleed and they don't die.
Yep.
They come back to life, you know what I mean?
Yes, and thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
just...
There are so many parts in here where they talk about how these things were picked up and put in the Bible. And she even brings up, they talk about Cain and Abel actually being about the Canaanites getting taken over by the Israelites, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that the right?
Yeah.
Do I have that correct from our last season?
Yeah.
And then there's something about, I got to find the Adam and Eve thing. Pause. Oh, and there's stuff about like the bee always being a sign of the goddess. There's a spider mother.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's and
Great
also
stories.
Another biblical thing is in Neolithic times, the moon and the stone symbols were combined into one characteristic shape, the horned altar. And then they talk about all the different gods and, horned Teutonic warrior women and the horn pan, pagan god of nature. All these have horns. They're like belong to this tradition. And this is why the Christian devil is depicted wearing horns. Hello. It's all, and I'm trying to find this.
There's so many amazing things, but also I love the pictures that are from like artifacts like 5,000, 6,000 years ago. That just makes me
crazy.
And I'm just like, oh my God.
And what I learned about, because I'm like, well, what's like the opposition to this book? Because that's always good to know. And some archaeologists try to be like, well, we don't really know if like those are supposed to be goddesses. And my point is like, well, one, totally could be. Two, doesn't really matter because it still is like a female form that's like,
obviously
they
female.
obviously liked them.
Yeah, they were fans.
They obviously thought they were cool enough to be like, we should make some statues of this shit. So.
Yeah, and I think the Egyptians, women ruled first. They do talk about even the throne of the Egyptian ruler was actually a woman that he sat upon, Isis.
Oh, yes.
And Osiris. The Egyptian Book of the Dead, which also I would probably like to read.
We totally need to read that.
I think.
Add it to the list.
I think I do. And then Native American perspective.
Absolutely. That's where I love the Navajo, spider goddess.
Can I read this?
Yes, please do.
Nez
Especially if I'm
Pierce.
trying to find, yes.
Obviously, things have been corrupted, and it has been of great disservice to humanity. The Native Americans obviously were very eyewitness to that because, obviously, and are still eyewitness to that because of what the colonists did when they came to the Americas. But Samahala, a Nez Pierce, who sang the primal truth to the white man's world of the 19th century business and resource development-oriented America. So these are his words. My young men shall never work. Men who work cannot dream, and wisdom comes in dreams. You ask me to plow the ground? Shall I take a knife and tear my mother's breast? Because the connection. Then, when I die, she will not take me to her bosom to rest. You ask me to dig for stone. Shall I dig under her skin for her bones? Then, when I die, I cannot enter her body and be born again. You ask me to cut grass and make hay and sell it to be rich like the white man. But how can I cut off my mother's hair? It is bad law, and my people cannot obey it. I want my people to stay with me here. All the dead humans will come to life again. We must wait here in the house of our ancestors and be ready to meet in the body of our mother.
I almost don't even want to comment on that because I don't want to I may have already mentioned this. That very first part where he said, like, you cannot dream, like the importance of dream. I took this little course on like the history of sleep and one huge takeaway was how capitalism has stolen our dreams because J-O-B, they do determine when you can sleep. If you really think about that, and that goes along with what we're saying, why this is so upsetting, because it's about crushing our inner like magic and power. And the very fact that so many Americans, and I remember, I'm so glad it's out of fashion now, but when I was coming up in like the professional world, bragging about how little sleep people got was a fucking thing.
It's
and I will
still a
say,
thing.
I was never into it. Even back when that was like a cool thing, I'd be like, I don't know why you think that's cool.
So my nephew is...
I'm like, that's so fucking weird.
Yeah, my nephew's in a
so
profession...
You don't dream. Okay.
Yeah, he's in a profession where they get the young people to come in and work, but like you are working and you are on call and you need to come in and you might need to stay till 3 a.m.
Yep.
you're going to make a lot of money.
Just trade your whole inner power for it. I mean, could that be a more classic sign of like, meet me at the crossroads type of situation?
Yeah.
And if you spend 40 to 50 hours a week doing stuff that you don't really give a fuck, what does that do to your soul? So many people would be like, yeah, it's bad. And then just be like, but that's just how we do it.
That's how we do it. I got to keep doing it.
I'm like, these ladies didn't.
No.
Those people didn't. Mm-mm. I like this freestyle episode. I'm like, I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to us ramble. I want to
Mind expanded.
Mind expanded. Let me just, because we're always piggybacking off our last season and seeing how Christianity. Let me try. This is really fun.
Seeing how Christian. That's all you got to say. Isn't that funny?
And I know we can't cover everything, but they go into like yoga and movement and the whirling dervishes and like
breathing in and out.
Oh, it's so fantastic.
Giving, taking, receiving.
And so in the Neolithic world, there's like a world tree symbol, which also reminds me of Nordic mythology where there is the single tree. Again, the name is escaping me. I don't hold that stuff in my head.
It's a beautiful tree.
It escaped. I need to go get an estrogen patch. Okay, anyways. I'm going to read a little bit here. In the Hebrew Genesis, Eve and Adam, I think I should put Eve first.
Oh my God,
it feels weird to
That was
say
weird. It sounded weird to hear it.
That's horrible that it sounded weird.
Yeah.
Even though, again, our Victorian ladies last season in that book were like, Eve is actually the main character, by the way.
Yeah.
Adam's just like, whatever.
A crybaby.
He's a crybaby. Threw Eve under the bus. In the Hebrew Genesis, Eve and Adam are driven from the Garden of Immortality by Yahweh because they consort with the cosmic serpent under this magic world tree. The Genesis tree was not an apple, but a fig tree. We're keeping the name of the podcast still.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Biting all the figs.
The Genesis tree was not an apple, but a fig tree. Eve and Adam covered their nakedness with fig leaves after eating its fruit in Eden. Hathor, the cow goddess of Egypt, was anciently identified with the fig tree, which was known as living body of Hathor on earth. To eat of its sweet, pulpy fruit is very vulva-like fruit, was to eat of her flesh and fluid. I'm never going to look at the fig.
Wow.
The same way, but
it is
true.
very vulva-like.
Yeah, there's a lot of fruit that looks pretty vulva-like.
Yeah. Even, yeah. You're right. There's a lot.
I saw Call Me By Your Name. There's a peach scene in there.
Oh, peach for sure.
Yes.
Juicy peach.
Juicy peach. The fig tree was also sacred on Crete, considered the food of eternity and immortality. The biblical Garden of Eden was, in fact, the entire Near Eastern, North African, and Mediterranean Neolithic agricultural world of the great goddess. And the forbidden tree and evil serpent represented her ancient magic powers of illumination and immortality and earthly peace. So if you...
She didn't get kicked out?
No. But think about this. This is what the Christians, or whoever wrote that fucking thing, already took an old thing. It almost so... like modern day us reading that, we're like, it was a garden. These people that wrote it knew that they were talking, they knew that they were referencing like a myth fresh in their mind. So a tree meant something totally different, like the holy tree. If you really, doesn't that just like, just cracks it open a little bit, doesn't it?
Let's in the light.
It lets it in. And
let's in those light to crack the certainty.
Yeah. Today we're like, it was an apple tree.
Yeah.
Didn't have a name, and a snake.
Yep, that's how it goes.
And it's like, no, that Bible was written as a little like jab at that stuff to be like, that world is fucking over.
Yeah. Wow.
Your earth world is done.
Crazy. I like that.
Do you like that? Wow. There's so many more things, but I guess
we have to wait until next.
We have more haikus to write.
Yes. I can't wait, because actually that
really was healing. So I recommend everybody
write a haiku, send it to us.
Get a haiku.
Do it. It took us, that was like a good sustained, but like enough to like.
But not long.
No, but It was a calming process.
Yes.
It had all the synapses firing.
People should really, actually, we should just communicate in poems because apparently just regular old language is failing us right now.
People are missing some pretty glaring things.
Yes.
Maybe we're just using too many words. We got to leave, like I was saying, the poetry leaves things open for interpretation, for your dreaming mind.
Yes.
So our lesson today, work less.
Sleep more. Write haikus. Read this book.
Read the book.
And
send us your haikus.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Send us your haikus.
I want to hear your haiku.
We'll do a dramatic reading of them.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that would be so great.
Thanks so much for listening. We know there's people out there that have already read this book, or if you have questions, you can always reach out. Next week, we're going to wrap up this book.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Because it's going into, I'm hoping that there's going to be
a step-by-step plan. They're like, and the buried treasure.
I will tell you something. These people have the receipts because the notes with references are...
in the bibliography, we could probably just start working through... There's, oh my gosh, Joanna, there's a book in the bibliography called The Golden Ass. And we got
to get that one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I forget which Old Testament book the Golden Ass was in. That's so good.
Oh,
okay.
I love the Golden Ass and the white
golden
ass.
I love white asses.
The talking ass.
Oh.
All the asses.
All the asses.
Silly ass.
So next, the last section is called Patriarchal Culture and Religion.
Isn't that going to be a fun one?
The very first chapter is called God is Father. So we're going to get the answers to every question. We may not even have to read another book ever again.
Yeah. Here's the patriarchal beginning and the end.
And the end.
We're going to sleep, dream, read. When we come back next week, we'll be there to enlighten you.
Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Yes, we're going to bite into this
Bite into
patriarchal apple.